building Canada strong? What about building Canada fast? This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
Navigating the issues that matter to you. It's Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
The federal Liberals are getting pushback over the pace of construction of so-called nation-building projects. At an event this week in Yellowknife, the Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson announced the first three projects that the government intends to fast-track under the Building Canada Act. There's the Mackenzie Valley Highway project in the Northwest Territories, the Grays Bay Road and Port project in Nunavut, and a nuclear waste deep storage project in northwestern Ontario. Hodgson says the government wants to speed up the whole process and give proponents more clarity.
Let me give you an example in layman's terms. The way it works today, a proponent who wants to build or a community or a government that wants to look at approving a project spends a huge amount of time and effort and money getting through that consultation and environmental approval process to then at the end of that process to have a political decision by the federal government. That means people have spent a lot of time and a lot of money not knowing whether a project is going to move forward. What a listing does is says, after the consultation around the listing, we move the political decision up in that process.
Hodgson would go on to say the government doesn't want to waste people's time. Rather, it wants to give investors certainty.
That gives people the incentive to spend the time and energy and money, and quite frankly, doesn't waste Indigenous people's time working on things only to find out at the end of the process it's not going forward. This is a way to create greater certainty, to focus our energy, our resources, and our time on the projects that we want to go ahead. And this is a practical way about how we will get big things built again.
But the government faces questions about what this new process means for the rigor of the environmental approval process or the consultation process with First Nations. With allegations from critics, this government is weakening regulations and giving proponents a rubber stamp. The government House Leader Steve McKinnon says that's not the case at all.
There is nothing in any of these processes that remove the responsibility to consult Indigenous peoples and to do a full environmental assessment under all of the various federal approval processes, whether it be fisheries or Environment Canada or navigable waterways or any of the other processes that exist. So all of those processes continue. What does happen is that, to perhaps build on what my colleague Tim said, is these processes now can go on simultaneously.
But reporters noted that not a single project that's been referred to the Major Projects Office in Calgary has started construction, and the three projects announced this week are still at least a year away from having shovels in the ground. Reporters wanted to know how the government can claim that it's building projects faster than ever before. Tim Hodgson took great exception to that, shaking his head while the question was being asked.
I'm not sure where you're getting your information. I thought I saw Contrecoeur is building today. I thought I saw that the Darlington new nuclear reactor is building today. I thought I talked about in my remarks that the McIlvany copper mine is building and about to ship its first new copper concentrate. I think the Prime Minister did a ground turning at Nouveau-Mont Graphite, so I'm not sure where you're getting your information, but I think we're actually building quite a few things.
With the summer season underway for federal politicians, ministers have hit the road to sell the government's agenda, although the Prime Minister isn't too far away. Mark Carney is having an end-of-session news conference right now More on that later. The federal justice minister, Sean Fraser, is in his home province of Nova Scotia today. He's there to tout the government's reforms of the criminal justice system, reforms that include stricter bail conditions. That's a message he delivered to people in London, Ontario this week.
We undertook a process beginning last summer to engage with those who live closest to the problems that we're trying to solve. This means working with law enforcement. It means working with provincial governments. It means listening to the feedback that we've heard directly from mayors and councillors who represent communities in every corner of this country. One of the things that we heard without qualification was the need to treat more seriously the phenomenon of violent repeat offenders. Too often, we've seen people who commit crimes be released often the same day, only to reoffend. We have to change our laws, and we now have changed our laws to ensure that the criminal code reflects the desire of communities to take more seriously the challenges when it comes to violent repeat offenders.
The Carney government's bail reform bill became law about 10 days ago. It makes more than 80 changes to the criminal code, and it expands the number of criminal charges that would result in reverse onus bail. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
There is no question Rob won't get answered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues
On News Radio.
With my friend on the right side of things, Michael Taube is back with us, columnist with the National Post, Loonie Politics and Troy Media. Michael was a speechwriter for former Prime Minister Stephan Harper. And Michael also writes for some publications in the UK as well. And if I recall, Michael, you went to school there for a while, I think.
I
right?
did indeed. My master's degree is from the London School of Economics. So yes, I did. You're right.
Right. Well, we want to tap into your knowledge of UK affairs, because certainly that's a big story this week. Stick a fork in Starmer. Keir Starmer, a long goodbye, stepping down quite likely by September as leader of the Labour Party and the Prime Minister of the UK. What went wrong with Starmer?
I think the better question is what went right, because not much really did. It was a disastrous near 2 years. In the end, he will be just over 2 years no matter what. He was elected in July of 2024 to become Prime Minister, and he will either be gone in early July, depending if there is a leadership contest or a coronation, which we'll get into, or if not, as you correctly stated, he'll be there till about September. Not much really went well. I mean, he basically came in sort of right place, right time, but very much lucky. It really had very little to do, his success in 2024, that election, it had very little to do with his platform or his leadership skills or all that. In fact, if you saw interviews and discussions of that time, there were a lot of people, including, generally speaking, historical Labour supporters who were sort of shrugging their shoulders and probably thought he'd be okay, but they don't really know. And largely that was because British voters decided that after 14 years of Tory rule, they wanted something else. So again, right place, right time, and he got a super majority, a 174-seat majority. You and I talked about it at the time. It was astonishing, but a lot of it really didn't have much to do with him. Regardless, if you're lucky and you end up in a circumstance like that or a situation like that, you plow ahead and you try to make the best of it and try to stay there for as long as possible, because it's one of Labour's biggest majorities in the history of the party. However, literally from the start, they just had problem after problem after problem. Issues with their budget, issues with the math surrounding their budget, questions about Rachel Reeves, his treasurer, in terms of the way she was calculating certain things. Scandals that happened with some of their MPs, including, those one whose name is sort of lost to me, but basically this person tried to rent out a property, wasn't able to do so, and finally sort of skirted around the rules and eventually was able to raise the rent on certain things, and it just looked bad on him. Also, as well, Keir Starmer was unsuccessful when it came to international affairs. He didn't handle the war in Iran very well. He didn't handle situations like Russia-Ukraine quite well. He didn't look like a confident leader, and that's really because he was not suited for that role or that job. Yes, obviously he had friends and others who moved up the ladder, like Miss Reeves for a spell, David Lammy, and others who had been with him for a period of time and obviously, wanted to keep Labour in power for as long as possible, so they put on a brave face. But it was clear when you saw him domestically and internationally that he was just not a suitable choice for the job. He fell into it. And sometimes you get lucky when you fall into things, it works to your advantage. And sometimes you don't. Like, for example, we're seeing that right now with Mark Carney, who kind of fell into the role basically and stayed in it because of U.S. President Donald Trump and his tariffs. It does happen sometimes. But in the case of Starmer, I think it's fair to say for someone who lasted about 2 years, it was about as unsuccessful a tenure as anything when you looked at the left, the right, and independents and others all got tired of him. His approval ratings was down the high teens, early 20s. It was a mess.
So Starmer is going to be gone. A lot of people are predicting this guy Burnham is going to be the next leader of the Labour Party and he'll become Prime Minister.
Right.
From Manchester. What do you know about him and what that could mean for the direction of the government in the UK?
Well, this is his second tenure as an MP. He was an MP for Leith from about 2001 to 2017, and then he went on to become, as you correctly said, he's from Manchester. He became the mayor of Greater Manchester from 2017 up until this year. Burnham, and I've written about him, Burnham basically is a socialist and calls himself a socialist. He basically, he also supports a concept called Manchesterism, which in his interpretation is sort of like a left-leaning person trying to work with business, trying to work with the workers, trying to sort of fit in the middle of everything, but ideologically far to the left. However, for Labour, or just for the left in general around the world, that sort of ideology works quite well. Now, I know you could be probably thinking, probably some of the listeners are thinking, well, isn't that what Starmer tried to do? And if it wasn't successful for him, why would it be for Burnham? Burnham has more core support. He's always been on the left and situated quite there. He used to be known as a Blairite or a supporter of Tony Blair, which allowed him to sort of filter in through New Labour and that concept, which gave him sort of the ability to say, I stretch my support from all over or different parts of the left or progressive type ideology. And as well, he was more experienced. He's been around politics longer than Starmer has, and he has better allies, probably has a better political horse sense about him. But the key here is he really going to be any different or any better? And based on his history, I don't think that, moving from someone who was on the left but tried to bridge things to someone who is clearly on the left, if Mr. Burnham either gets coronated or wins the leadership and goes on to become Prime Minister, is it going to make that big a difference? I don't think so.
Okay, when we come back, 24 Sussex, the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, is going to make an announcement about, what used to be the official residence of the Prime Minister of Canada. He's going to make an announcement in the coming weeks. We don't know what he's going to say, but we will talk about options for 24 Sussex with Michael Taube when we come back. This is News Radio.
You have questions.
Now You Know with Rob Snow has the answers.
On News Radio.
Back with Michael Taube, columnist with the National Post, Loonie Politics and Troy Media, speechwriter for former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. So, Michael, there's a report today that Prime Minister Mark Carney will make an announcement about the future of 24 Sussex Drive in the coming weeks. Okay, so what used to be the official residence of prime ministers in this country. You ever been there?
Yes, I have. I was there when my old friend and boss, Stephen Harper, was Prime Minister, and I have gone through it, and I've seen it, and I know the issue quite well, having written about it a bit.
Yep. I've been there a few times. What was your impression of the place?
It's a very nice home. It used to be a private home. It's been housing prime ministers for about 100 years, give or take. The problem with it is, and I've gone through it, and I'm sure you've discussed it in the past and others have too, is that it became worn down, I think is the best way to say it. It wasn't dilapidated, but it was worn down. The problem was that no prime minister, liberal or conservative, really wanted to touch it. It's one of those classic cases of kicking the can down the road and hoping someone else will eventually pick it up and run with it. When Justin Trudeau was prime minister, that's when he decided to basically closed things down until something was determined with it and went to live in the cottage just down the road from it. And the problem that came into play, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is money. You know, you heard numbers of 25, 35 or more million. And then when there was discussions of tennis courts and pools and other things, you know, some of which may never have obviously come to fruition, it just became ridiculous. And the problem with 24 Sussex is it's a lovely home, beautiful view and all that. It doesn't have the history of other leaders' homes like the White House. So a lot of people didn't think that was a justified amount to pay.
Yeah, the last official estimate from the agency in Ottawa that's responsible for all of the official residences, because there's a number of them. There's, in addition to 24, there's storing away for the official opposition leader. There's the farm for the Speaker of the House. The last number to bring it up to modern day standards was $36 million, Michael.
That's right.
$36 million. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't think so. $36 million. What do you think should be done with it?
You know, I'm actually okay with it if the number is more realistic. And what I thought, they should send it out to tender. They should actually get a number of offers and see what comes back. There are also reality stars, I suggested once, who actually fix homes for a living. I mean, they might be willing to do it for nothing if you bring the camera in, or from a very limited amount. There are ways that you can do it which actually are beneficial. I think 24 Sussex has a lot of history, has a lot of charm, is nicely positioned, and should be preserved in some fashion. It's just a question of whether, based on its limited history of housing leaders in this country, a century is nice, but it's not as much compared to others. The question is whether it's worth it or not. Based on the numbers being suggested, certainly when Trudeau was Prime Minister, it doesn't make sense. But my belief is, and as someone whose family has been involved in mortgages and investments for over a century, and that includes me, there are different ways to do it. There are different routes and paths, but they have to be willing to make the effort. Now, Brian Mulroney, obviously, and Jean Chrétien were obviously willing to do it and actually teamed up together and were willing to move forward with a plan with others. But unfortunately, the Trudeau government opted against it. Now, Mr. Mulroney obviously has passed. The question here is whether Mr. Carney will open the door to suggestions and ideas, or whether he has a plan, and that remains to be seen.
Okay. Look, thank you so much for today, and we'll get caught up next week.
Sounds good. Oh, my pleasure. Take care. Have a nice weekend.
Bye-bye. Yeah. That's Michael Taube. You can read him in the National Post, Loonie Politics, Troy Media, speechwriter for former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Our Newsday panel, right after the latest breaking news. Focus Nova Scotia today. Lots to talk about always. It's coming right up. This is News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
With our Thursday Newsday panel, that means it's time for Focus Nova Scotia. Lisa Blackburn is back with us, former Halifax City Councillor and NDP candidate. Hello there.
Hey, hello there. Good afternoon.
Good to hear from you, Lisa, along with Jordi Morgan, Director, Strategic Growth and Partnerships at Enterprise Canada, government relations firm. How are you, Jordi Morgan?
Super duper. How you doing, Rob?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Looks like you're having nice weather down there in that part of the country today.
Oh, not too shabby. Not too shabby.
Sunny and 23 in Halifax right now. Very nice. Very nice. Well, look, whenever... I want to start with the Auditor General report, the Auditor General's report for Nova Scotia. Whenever an Auditor General's report comes out, it's never a good day for the government. You think about what the job of the auditor, what the auditor's job is. Okay, here are all the ways your government is not doing as much as it could be doing about all of these things. But this is very interesting. Questionable expenses by the mayor of Halifax, Andy Fillmore, flagged by the Auditor General, who referred the matter to the RCMP. The Mounties started an investigation last month. These are not the kinds of headlines you want to see if you're in the mayor's office. Questionable expenses, RCMP investigation. Lisa, what's your reaction to this news?
Well, the Auditor General is doing exactly what the taxpayers expect, following the evidence wherever it leads. This issue and at issue is $111,000 in expenses that did not follow the proper procurement process. And included in that was some private legal fees for the mayor. So, you know, the Auditor General had this was brought to his attention by senior staff. So, you know, I think the process did follow what it was supposed to do. Municipal politicians, they're entrusted with public money. The standard has to be high. And as a former councillor, I mean, I know that there are clear policies around expenses. And if you're at all unclear, then you ask before you spend, not after. But I think it's important to separate the two things. The audit findings are thing A, and the criminal investigation is thing B. And, you know, the AG doesn't refer matters to the RCMP lightly, but that isn't a finding of wrongdoing. I mean, the Auditor General himself said, listen, I am not comfortable making any further decisions on this, and that's why he passed it on to police for investigation. And now the investigation just has to run its course.
Yeah, and something may come of it, nothing may come of it. Jordi, what's your take on it?
Yeah, okay. Just to be clear, though, Rob, there's a couple of Auditor General reports. This is the HRM Auditor General. And I think it's a really valuable thing that HRM has one. When you kind of look at it at the beginning, I think there are a couple of things that you sort of scratch your head a little bit. You know, the $90,000 and trying to figure out how to run the office, and what is it, $14,000 for a speech, is, you know, those just kind of look as like flags. If I was going to give the mayor a benefit of the doubt on this one, it's that he was coming into the office. It was November when he just started. I take Lisa's point that, you know, when you're doing this sort of stuff, it's probably a good idea to ask. Get a lot of new staff in there that was probably feeling their way around in the dark. My only point about, I'm not quite sure what the Mounties are doing there. It wouldn't seem that there would be kind of criminal intent of any sort, but if that's what the Auditor General feels, that there has to be a deeper investigation into this, that's fine. I mean, looking at these judgment calls, I think you can be subjective about it and say, well, why are you spending that kind of money and doing what it was you're doing? But, you know, it's a process issue. If there isn't anything, and I can't imagine, you know, what criminal intent would be involved in there and why the Mounties would lay charges on this, but who knows? We'll see what the investigation turns out. It just seems to me some pretty bad, ugly growing pains for somebody who's going into the office and banging into things in the dark.
Yeah. The other piece of that, too, is that...
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to thank Jordi for clarifying that. This is general, not the provincial Auditor General. Thank you for that, Jordi. Sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that I think you have to recognize as well that this was also the first year that the mayor's office was a separate budget line item. Up until just recently, the expenses for the mayor's office fell under the CAO's budget, but now they are a completely independent line item unto itself. So that is certainly a level of change that's something else that was new that needs to be factored into this as well. So there's a lot of different things at play here.
Okay. Do you expect this to be political? Is this something that people who don't like the mayor will try and capitalize on? You're laughing, Jordi.
You can always call up John Perry and ask him that question. I don't know. There's a dynamic going on in council right now that's a little bit much, and having people piling on this. It's either piling on or some sort of like. I don't know how you'd refer to it. It said, well, we're just curious about this stuff. But it's going to be political because there are people who feel there might be some political advantage to jumping all over the mayor, but we'll see how that works out.
All right. When we come back, we will talk about the province, the province of Nova Scotia spent $1 billion on mental health and addiction services over the last 3 years. But staff did not do a very good job in keeping track of everything or being aware of the kind of services that were on offer province-wide. We'll talk about it when we come back. This is News Radio.
Critical thinking is not dead.
Now you know with Rob Snow.
Returns on News Radio.
Here with former Halifax City Councillor and NDP candidate Lisa Blackburn, and from Enterprise Canada, Jordi Morgan, Focus Nova Scotia. Auditor General reports The province of Nova Scotia spent $1 billion on mental health and addiction services over the past 3 years, but staff did not set up standards for access to services to ensure consistent and equitable mental health and addictions care, and lacked knowledge of the full range of services available to patients, or that there were 97 provincially funded centers where mental health and addictions care is offered. So some shortcomings, Jordi. What do you think?
It's concerning to see it. I'm not one to sit and sort of make excuses for government, but when you look at the way things have happened over the last, since the last election, and the bringing in this office of mental health and addictions, they've been pushed very hard because obviously it is an enormous need. So there's a lot of money that has gone out the door. Yes. It does need some tracking, but there are also a couple of departments that are responsible for this. There's the Department of Health and Wellness, and there's also this Office of Mental Health and Addictions. So right now, I'm trying to figure out a little bit about, where the issue is, if this is a process issue or if this is an issue of accountability. The money is being spent, and we're not hearing, other than I think there's a lot more work that we can do here, and there's a lot more innovation that can come into this space in terms of delivery of mental health and addictions. And especially just this week, we saw a story about the North Shore of Nova Scotia. This is not just an urban problem. This is a problem that is everywhere. So I would say, if it draws some more attention to the way these services are being delivered, and if it does light a fire under government to ensure that it is doing the right things in the right places and moving forward with innovation in the sector, it's good. It's good to see that there's money being spent on this because it's much needed.
Okay. Lisa, what do you think?
Yeah, what struck me wasn't the $1 billion, but it was that government just can't tell us confidently whether Nova Scotians are getting consistent access to care. We always debate how much money government spends on certain issues, but I don't think we're spending enough time asking what we're getting for that investment, because let's face it, if government can't measure access to mental health, then it's very difficult to improve the access. I think, patients in the province, they shouldn't be facing a different system depending on their postal code. Consistent standards are needed, certainly clear performance measures. I think this was a case of we were in the midst of a mental health crisis as a province. The province dumped a lot of money into it, but didn't have the framework and infrastructure properly in place to make sure that money was being spent properly.
Yeah, I should point out, Rod, that the department did say that they are actually accepting and they're going to implement all of the recommendations. So that will tell you something there too.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I do read some pieces in the Halifax Examiner from time to time. It's an independent, more left-wing news outlet. There's some interesting stuff in there. This week, for example, let me read you this. MLA Tim Outhit told reporters that Tim Houston, the premier, removed the tolls on the bridges because Houston mentioned that he had some folks in Fairview who were getting tired of having to pay to go to work in Burnside every day. Houston grew up in Fairview. Evidently, some of his old high school buds still have his ear, and they convinced him to do away with the user fees of the tolls on the bridges, and now those bridge costs are absorbed by all of us. I was under the impression that was a campaign promise by Premier Houston to do away with bridge tolls. The claim in this paper is, well, he's just listening to some high school buddies, I guess. What do you think is the truth? Do you think that's true, Lisa?
I don't know if I would go quite that far. Politicians always hear from constituents that, they have issues with this, that, and the other thing. But I don't know. That would be pretty brazen. Now, having said that, I do know people who work in the public service, and they have told me directly that they receive more phone calls directly from the Premier's office with direction to do A, B, or C than they have ever had with any other Premier. So, take that for what it's worth. But, as a councillor for 8 years, never once did we sit around that council table and muse to ourselves, boy, wouldn't life be great if we just took the bridge tolls off. That was never, ever a discussion.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Okay. So I don't know where the idea came from, maybe it came from some of his old high school pals, but I don't know. I question.
Seemed like it was, if memory serves, and I could have a foggy memory. I'm getting up there.
No, you're right.
It was kind of part of there was a dual pledge, as I recall, bridge tolls and hospital parking. They were kind of, one went with the other.
Well, there was hospital parking. There was a variety of different. Sorry, I didn't interrupt. There was a few transportation related pieces in there, and that was one. That was among the campaign pledges that they had made at the 2024 election.
Okay, who should be paying the tolls for the Harper ferry? Should they be toll free? Should they be put under, say, provincial regulation? Should the costs to run those ferries and maintain them be covered by the province and not the municipality? Jordi, what do you think?
Well, so should we take the fares off of buses as well? I mean, there's an argument to be made there that, the amount of money that you actually make on fares is not, is not significant enough that if you took it off, you would get higher ridership rates, and it should be subsidized by everybody because everybody in one way or another sort of benefits from it. But, it's run by transit. It is a transit function. That's basically what it is. So it's not a toll. It's a fee that you pay to ride the ferries back and forth, something that's run by transit.
Yeah, but it is a user fee, so in that way, it is kind of like a toll. The same way
that's like saying a bus. Is it a bus fee, or is it a bus fare, or is it a bus user fee?
Right. I'm sure the municipality would. The municipality would probably love to upload it if the province was willing to take it on.
Oh yeah,
Lisa. Oh yes,
absolutely. Jesus. Yeah.
I bet. All right. We'll be right back. This is Focus Nova Scotia. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Here with Lisa Blackburn and Jordi Morgan. Tourism in Nova Scotia is worth anywhere from $3.5 billion to $4 billion every year for the Nova Scotia economy. About 2 million tourists go to Nova Scotia every year. It supports almost 60,000 jobs across the province. And it's going to be in full swing, if not now, very soon. Does it seem busy to you when you're out and about? Do you see a lot of tourists, Jordi? What's your sense of things?
Well, Sail GP was here this past weekend, and I can't talk about that. That was just absolutely a wonderful demonstration of Halifax at its best. It was just absolutely spectacular. Sunday was great. The Saturday the weather wasn't great, but that's just such a terrific event. And so many things are starting to happen in Nova Scotia. That, I don't want to focus just on Halifax. We've got Cape Breton with like the greatest golf in the world, and you've got the Valley, and you've got food and the South Shore and some of the best beaches, north of the Carolinas. So if you're looking for something to do, there's a great place to come in the summertime. It just sparkles, and people just feel good about being here. So, yeah.
It's good. I'm going to be hopefully headed that way in a few weeks. What does it seem like to you? Does it seem busy, Lisa? A lot of out of towners, people from away.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've seen reports out of Cape Breton where tourism operators are already saying it is busier than normal for this time of the year, and they are gearing up for a banner season. I know that locally in Halifax, Discover Halifax, they are predicting a record-setting summer tourism season here. I mean, the waterfront is busy. I mean, the cruise ships, they've already started. I think the first cruise ship started in April. So, yeah, it definitely feels like summer has arrived.
And things, one thing, Rob, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Jordi.
No, I was just going to say, the thing is, Nova Scotia is just becoming so well known for its food and its wine. And it's just, there's so much great stuff that's happening. There's some tremendous restaurants and breweries and wineries, and it really has upped its game enormously over the last number of years.
Yeah, and don't just stay in Halifax.
One of my favorite. Okay, no. I'm not going to Halifax. I'll be going to Cape Breton Island.
Nothing wrong with it, but I mean, if you drive 2 hours away, you have an entirely different.
Oh, yeah. Perfect for me because I have family living there, so I get to save on accommodation. It's like the best deal ever. I will say one of my favorite events, actually, starts, if you're an out-of-towner and you've never been, I believe it starts next week in Halifax, and that's the Tattoo, the Nova Scotia International Tattoo. If you've never been there, that's a great show. Go to that thing.
Yeah.
The bagpipes will bring you to tears. Highly recommend that.
Yeah. I love having all the military folks downtown too. It's terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, enjoy your summer. I hope we get to speak a few more times throughout the summer. But thanks again. Great to talk to you.
Always a pleasure.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jordi. Jordi Morgan from Enterprise Canada, Lisa Blackburn, former Halifax City Councillor, NDP candidate, Enterprise Canada, the government relations firm. Talkback is coming up next. This is News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to Talkback. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. Today, three things. Three things we want to run by you. Three things we want to ask you about, all related to various stories in the news. The BC condo bailout. Renovating 24 Sussex. And a wealth tax. A tax on the rich. 1-833-668-2577. Let me break these down a little bit, just one by one. Comment on one, two, or all three. Lots of time to take your call today. Again, at 1-833-668-2577. So out in British Columbia, home of the most expensive housing market in the country, there are thousands and thousands of condos sitting empty. It's like 4,700 condos. They're already built, but nobody wants to buy them. They're just sitting there empty, and that's not good for the people that built them, the developers. They're losing money, and some of them could go under. At the same time, of course, you have a housing affordability crisis, especially in the Vancouver area. So the Carney government, along with the provincial government in BC, has come up with this plan. And we don't know how much it's going to cost. It could easily cost $1 billion. But the government is going to buy about 2,000 of these condos from the developers and turn them into units of affordable housing. And this has sparked quite a bit of criticism in Ottawa, in Toronto, and certainly in British Columbia. And the accusation is the government is bailing out developers. And the government shouldn't be doing that, bailing out developers. And I want to know what you think of that. It's being called the BC condo bailout, the condo bailout. The government could spend $1 billion buying condos and helping keep property developers afloat. That's what the critics are saying. The government is defending the plan, and it says, look, these units are already built. And here's a chance to provide thousands of units of affordable housing in a part of the country where a lot of people are having a problem getting a house. They're priced out of the market. I'd be curious to know how you see it. There's been a lot of buzz about this. Polyev calls it a bailout, an ill-advised bailout. How do you see it? Is this the government coming to the rescue of condo developers, bailing out condo developers? And if it's that, is that what the government should be doing? Basically putting in a price floor, giving a financial backstop to people who build condos for a living and speculate in the real estate market? Or do you see it as a chance to bring thousands of affordable housing units into a market where people are struggling to find a decent place to live? Again, 1-833-668-2577. A wealth tax. That's back in the news. There's a group called Canadians for Tax Fairness, and it's calling for wealth taxes. It released a report this week. It says there are 86 billionaire families in Canada. There are 3,800 families in Canada that are worth at least $100 million each. And this group says these people should have to pay a wealth tax. It says the province should have its own wealth tax as well. And it says if provinces did that, collectively, provinces could raise tens of billions of dollars in revenue from the wealthy. And that money could be spent on improving the lives of millions of Canadians through improved social programs. The example that it uses is a 1% tax on wealth above $10 million, a 2% tax on wealth above $50 million, and if someone has a wealth of more than $100 million, they should have to pay a 3% tax on their wealth. And this group, Canadians for Tax Fairness, it claims you do this in Ontario, you raise $18 billion a year, $19 billion a year. If it was done in Alberta, the Alberta government could raise more than $3 billion a year. If you do it across Atlantic Canada, the estimated windfall would be $800 million a year. And you'd be taking money from wealthy people and distributing it. Just spend it on healthcare or education or increasing social assistance rates or building more affordable housing. What do you think? I mean, the argument goes like this. These people have done well in life. $10 million, they can afford it. They can afford to pay a little bit more. They can pay 1% of their tax on wealth, 2% at 50 million, 3%, anything higher than 100 million. Do you support that idea? Special taxes for the wealthy, starting at $10 million in wealth. Do you support that idea? Or is that something you're opposed to? Wealth taxes. Wealth taxes. More calls for wealth taxes. And the Prime Minister's residence, or what used to be the official residence of the Prime Minister of Canada, 24 Sussex Drive. Harper was the last to live there. Justin Trudeau didn't want to live there. Mark Carney doesn't live there now. But according to a news report, Mark Carney's going to make an announcement about the future of 24 Sussex sometime in the coming weeks. I mean, this place is just sitting there. It's empty. It's been gutted. In fact, the government has already spent more than $5 million just to keep the place standing. Now, the last time there was an estimate to fix up 24 Sussex, it was a rather eye-watering figure. It was more than $36 million. $36.6 million to fix up 24 Sussex. It's not Mark Carney's house. It's the Prime Minister's residence. It's one of the perks of the gig. State of disrepair. But what do you think should be done with it? I mean, right now, all of us are paying for a vacant mansion in Ottawa. Should we fix up the old building, tear it down, build something brand new on the same site, tear it down, build something new somewhere else? Or just bulldoze the thing and have the Prime Minister continue where Prime Ministers have lived recently at Rideau Cottage? What do you think? I mean, $36 million. That was the estimate back in 2021. The price tag has probably only gone up since then. What should happen to the official residence of the Prime Minister of Canada? 24 Sussex Drive. 1-833-668-2577 is our call-in line. If you've never called before, just mention that. We'll make your call a priority. Let's kick these three things around for a while here on Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Three things. We're kicking around three things today with your help here on Talkback. The government could spend hundreds of billions of dollars. It wouldn't be out of the question that this could be $1 billion plan to buy thousands of empty condos in BC and turn them into affordable housing. Critics are saying this is a bailout for property developers. The government says this is a chance to provide more affordable housing. What do you think? A group called Canadians for Tax Fairness is calling for wealth taxes that should start hitting Canadians who have a wealth of $10 million and go up from there. The group claims it would raise billions of dollars a year and would make life better for millions of Canadians. Do you support a wealth tax? And what should happen with 24 Sussex Drive? Okay. It's been sitting there empty in Ottawa for more than a decade, but the last estimate to fix up the place was $36 million. Do you think we should renovate 24 Sussex Drive? If that's the price tag, 1-833-668-2577. Lots of time to take your call. Let's start in Halifax today. James is there. Hello, James.
Hi. Good day.
Hi, James. Good to hear from you, James. What story do you want to talk about?
Wealth tax. And
wealth tax. Sure
I'm
thing.
not necessarily in favor of a wealth tax, although maybe, because as we all know, income inequality and in particular wealth inequality in Canada has been increasing significantly in the past 10 to 20 years. But perhaps more to the point, I would suggest that we strengthen our inheritance tax. I won't get into all the details, but the bottom line is that, I have them up in front of me if you want to get into it. Canada does not tax inheritances. So in other words, someone dies, they have to pay as if their capital gains the estate has to pay as if capital gains were realized, but the people who inherit the rest of the money, it's tax-free. So I don't think that's socially equitable. We don't necessarily want to create, the Rockefellers and the Astors of the golden era, they called it in the United States. We don't want people just becoming whatever they call it now, bonus babies, or you know what I mean.
Sure. So you think there should be you think that there should be a tax on whatever is left for the next generation? Like, let's say somebody inherits $1 million. You think there should be a tax on the $1 million?
Right. Well, again, a lot of the states these days are 50 million, 100 million, 500 million. So, no, we don't want to impoverish if some rich person, multi-hundred millionaire, billionaire, leaves their money to their kids. Okay.
Right.
But the kids, before they get all that money, the federal government should get a reasonable share to help pay for social programs.
Right. Fair enough. Thank you, James. That's out there for public discussion. Let's go, staying in Nova Scotia, let's go to Joe. Hello, Joe. Welcome to it, Joe.
Hey, Rob. How are you, man?
Yeah, very good, Joe. All the better for hearing from you today. What do you want to talk about, Joe?
Appreciate that. I was thinking, I don't know taxes. I'm not an accountant, so, but it certainly
and I'm
seems...
not rich either.
Yeah. But 24 Sussex, that's kind of an institution, but $36 million, was that to renovate a place? Can you imagine what you could build for the prime minister for even a quarter of that? Easy. Yep. Easy. In terms of preserving something, I think 24 Sussex, it's been around for a long time, but to me, that's just like wiping a pig's butt kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. And it is, this is first of all, this $36 million estimate we should keep in mind is 5 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what's happened to the cost of renovations in the last 5 years? They've only gone up since then. Right. So who knows what it would be right now. Yeah.
For one place, place would be worth 36 million plus if you renovated it. It's like, what? I've seen pictures of the place. I'm not there, but it's stone. All you need to do was probably fix the roof and, update the electrical, update the plumbing. 36 million for that?
So you would like to see it preserved? You would like to see it fixed up? But not at that price. The price has got to come down for you. Not at that price. Yeah, it's a fair
if I
comment,
own
sir,
the
I think.
place, if I own the place and I'm taking $36 million to renovate one home, like, no, the bulldozer can fix that for me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joe in Nova Scotia. Lots of lines available there. We're off and running on Talkback for this Thursday. Love to hear from you. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
3 things up for discussion today. BC condo bailout, wealth taxes, more calls for taxes on the rich, and renovating 24 Sussex. Let's go to Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Catherine is there. Hello, Catherine. Hi, Catherine. In Dartmouth? Okay, let's stay there. Then St. Margaret's Bay. Rob is there. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Rob. One Nova Scotian to another.
Yes, very good to hear from you. What issue do you want to talk about, sir?
Well, the first issue I want to avoid is my wife knowing I'm calling in. She'd kill me. Other than that, I just wanted to tie in the wealth tax at 24 Sussex Drive. The thought that people want to take money away from the wealthy, who I'm sure have worked very hard to accumulate it and worked very hard to put it at work, which benefits the country, and give it to the people who can't even keep 24 Sussex Drive open, who don't have the mindset, the planning ability, whatever. You keep the maintenance up and run it into the ground is kind of a silly thought process. How are these people going to take the money from the wealth tax and utilize it appropriately for the benefit of Canada?
Yeah, such a good point. I mean, I can see where they're coming from. Okay, you have a wealth of $10 million. We're going to hit you with a 1% tax. You're good for it. It's only $100,000. You can afford it. You won't even miss it. You've got $50 million in wealth. We're going to hit you with a 2% tax. That's $1 million. If you're worth $100 million, we're going to hit you with a 3% tax on your wealth. $3 million, but you're worth 100. You won't even miss it. But you're saying, well, look at the state of 24 Sussex. What confidence do we have that the government could manage this money any better than the people who made it, right?
Well, what a lot of people don't realize, and I have a small business, remain nameless, that I had a beef farmer from Alberta in a couple weeks back who's transferred his family business, 5th generation, down to his 4th kids. And basically, as he said, he's got a buyback. You can't spend equity. If you don't have the cash flow, you can't spend. So if you got 10 million assets, but you don't have any liquidity,
that's right,
and the government wants you to send a check in for $100K on the 1st of January every year, that's near impossible.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Such a great point. How much of this wealth is actually what you would call liquid, right? That people actually have access to? Would they end up having to sell some of their equity to pay the tax on their wealth? Very interesting point. Great way to look at it, Rob. I won't tell your wife that you called. Be right back, though, right after the latest breaking news. And there is breaking news to tell you about. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Wealth taxes. That's one thing we're talking about today, or fixing up 24 Sussex as well, the Prime Minister's official residence. Last price tag to do that we saw, $36 million. And the BC condo bailout, a story that has some legs, I would say. Catherine in Dartmouth. Let's try Catherine again. Hello, Catherine.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, very good,
Can
Catherine.
you hear me?
How are you? I hear you just fine.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
go ahead.
Yeah. I have a little something to say about all 3 topics today.
Sure thing.
One, BC condo bailout. It's ready-made. affordable housing. There's no 3-year bid process. There's no taking the low bid and getting screwed over by the government contractor. There's it's headache-free affordable housing. So do it. They're already sitting there waiting. You know what I mean?
Already sitting
homeless
there.
People in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, what about the idea that these people speculated on the market, they got themselves into trouble, and now the government is coming to their rescue?
Okay, but who approved their building permits?
Well, that would have been the municipality.
The municipality. So we're actually bailing out Vancouver because those buildings are going to fall into disrepair. And I mean, nobody wants a huge empty apartment building in an upcoming neighborhood or what was supposed to be an upcoming neighborhood. You know,
but you can also make the case that the reason these aren't selling is because they're priced too high. And if the condo developer lowered the price, they would eventually sell. Even if they sold at a loss, they would eventually sell, right?
Well, yeah, but I can't see the government paying top dollar for them. They'll probably give them I would assume that they would give them some sort of buy in bulk price.
Buy in bulk discount?
Option.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
right.
Well,
yeah,
maybe. Okay. So you think, no, because this is, I can see this thing too. Look, if the government wants to build thousands of affordable housing units anyway, and it says it does, well, here's 2,000 of them. Here's 4,700 of them, as a matter of fact. Okay, I can see your point. All right, next point.
Yep. Next point. The 24 Sussex. It's 156 years old, hasn't been renovated since 1950, and right now we're spending over $1 billion to renovate Parliament.
That's right.
And I know that gets used every day, but I mean, it's 156 years old. It's almost as old as our country. I mean, at least we could make it into a federal park or a museum of some sort. Give it, tell the personal stories of the prime ministers or something. Like, if nobody wants to live there because it's outdated or it's too big or it's just in disrepair at the moment, because if I'm not right, it's already gutted, correct?
It's gutted right down to the studs. Yep.
Yeah. So and if the masonry is sound, $36 million sounds like a decent price tag. I feel like I'm defending the government right now, but I mean, these are three ideas that I can actually get on board with. Well, actually, that's not true.
Really?
The wealth tax doesn't make any sense to me because it's just gonna push the money out of the country. You know what I mean?
Rich
They can go anywhere.
Rich people will leave.
Yeah, they can go. Yeah, they can go anywhere and not have to pay any taxes. And if we start taking big chunks of cash every year from the wealthy, anybody who has a personal income over $260,000 pays 54% tax in Canada. 54% tax on personal income. Now, it's a little bit less if you have dividends and capital gains. That's a half the tax bracket. So you'll pay, what is that?
Yeah.
23 or something like that, or 29% tax.
Right.
But that's a big chunk of money. If they're already paying, if you have a personal income of $250,000, you're giving more than half of that to the government. So what we're going to say, so somebody, it was on 10 million, you said?
Starting at 10 million, yeah.
10 million,
1%.
So personal income of $10 million a year.
No, not income, wealth.
So 54% of that.
Yeah, no,
I
not
know
income.
people hide their money.
Wealth. Your stake in a business, your investment portfolio, the value of your real estate, your wealth. It's not a tax on income. It's a tax on wealth.
So it's a tax on your equity.
On your net worth.
On your net worth. Yeah. Okay, my net worth is a hell of a lot more than I have in my pocket. I can get on board with the guy's last point, who called in before me.
I got you. Yeah, okay, I'm going to move along. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Interesting points on all around there. Gord in Calgary today. First call from Calgary today. Hello, Gord.
Hey, Rob. Oh, my
Gord.
God. It's painful to listen to these people.
Why?
Okay.
Don't be like that. Don't be mean, Gord.
Oh, Rob, I'm dying here. When I was a young man, I walked backwards to school in winter storms, the usual crap that people say.
Sure.
Anyway, when I was young, I lived anywhere from 3 to 5 dudes in a house for, 10, 12 years. Why? Because we didn't have any money. Okay, so why did you all? Well, because we had to save money or just survive. That's what we did. And then you build something with it, or somebody can buy a house, you pay their mortgage, whatever it is. That's what we did. Now we go, we need affordable housing. We need to buy condos. And I'm going, so no sacrifice, just here's some affordable housing because you haven't made a sacrifice to get housing. Oh, it's really expensive. It was expensive when I was a kid. I was making $4 an hour. Give me a break.
Right. So this is one of the criticisms actually that I've read about this. Like, let's say you actually bought a unit in one of these towers and you paid full market price, whatever it is, 800,000. Now your next door neighbor is going to be someone who is renting a subsidized apartment. How fair is that?
Correct. It's not fair, and it's called economics. If the developer screws up, sorry, that's their problem. It's not my problem. If I lose money on the stock market, should I say to the government, give me some money back because I made a bad investment? No, that's my problem. So that's number one. I love when government's looking for new revenue sources. Rob, I said on your program twice now, the moment you hand government money, the moment you do, it goes into funny land because they're so staggeringly incompetent. They don't know what to do besides bribing you with money. Or, we're going to put money here. You don't have any money. You're borrowing it. Newsflash. Give me a break, Rob. Hey, how do you know if a socialist is in a bar? Hey, a round of drinks for the bar. Oh, by the way, who's paying? That's how you know. That's what I'm hearing today, Rob.
Okay, Gord, thank you. Gord says you're all crazy. We'll be right back. This is Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Taxing the rich, wealth taxes, renovating 24 Sussex, the BC condo bailout, all in the news. 3 things we're kicking around today. Steve is in Calgary. He's a first-time caller. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Rob.
Hello. Yeah, hi, Steve. Good to hear from you today. What story do you want to talk about?
Well, just listening to the old man that yells at clouds, being like, socialism, socialism. But regarding 24 Sussex, I live in Calgary, and a lot of Calgary's historical architecture was bulldozed. Like, I think the only few historical buildings are the old City Hall and various sandstone buildings that are still standing. So I am of the ilk that let's restore 24 Sussex. Let's make it a tourist destination, an interpretive museum, and slowly recover the cost of revitalizing this historic property because our prime ministers lived there for a numerous time, like even before I was born. So why don't we preserve this history of our great nation and just kind of move forward with that?
Okay, so you would like to see, if we're going to spend all this money to renovate the official residence of the Prime Minister, there has to be some sort of revenue generation component to get some of the money back. Like as you say, a museum or cost recovery. Yeah, sure.
Because if it's going to be enlightening
tours of the
and
White House, for example. Yeah, like they give tours of the White House. Yeah, okay, all right, that's interesting.
Yeah, but just don't put a UFC fight in there.
Well, it's not a big piece of property to begin with. I don't think you could put an octagon in front of 24 Sussex Drive. It's just not the space. But I understand what you're saying. It's not a bad idea, you know. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. But you think it's a symbol worth preserving, is what you're saying.
I believe I feel that it is a symbol worth preserving, and let's be strategic about it and preserve this historic building.
All right, Steve. Thank you for your call to Southern Ontario. Gary's in Southern Ontario. Hello, Gary.
Morning, Rob, or good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are.
It's good morning in some places. It's good afternoon in others. Yeah.
There you go.
What story do you want to talk about, Gary?
This wealth tax. Every time I hear about wealth tax, yes. I'm telling you something. My blood just goes into overdrive boil. I'm getting so sick and tired of hearing that, because where I come from, there are very few accidental millionaires. Most people that have money work very hard for it. They're good investors. They're aggressive. And now all of a sudden they want to be punished for it because socialism did not work in any place else in the world. I don't know why we think it's going to work here.
Well, again, it's about fairness. They say, look, wealth concentration is getting worse in Canada. Public services are eroding. Look at the housing affordability crisis, the problems with healthcare, the problems in public education. And these people are rich. Gary. I mean, they can afford to pay a little bit more to make life better for the rest of us.
Yeah, but see, that's the whole problem. We now live in a socialist system. We're having money. People that have money are perceived as being the bad guys. And yet all we've done is we did what we were supposed to do. We bought housing when we were young. We worked hard. We stayed married. We kept one job. And we kept our noses clean. And the problem that I'm starting to find is that too many of the people that keep blowing about how come the rich have money, they're just simply unable. I hate to use the word lazy because that's going to bring back an awful lot of feedback, negative. But the bottom line is it's almost getting to the point where people that have money in this country are being seen as the boogeyman because we're the ones that are responsible for everybody else's ills. And that's not true.
Okay. So you're opposed to a wealth tax, 1%. Yeah, come on. 1% on your first 10 million, Gary? We can't tap you for an extra $100,000 a year? No.
Rob, come on. I know you were born in the dark, but it wasn't last night. Rob, come on. You were born in the dark, but it wasn't last night. It starts off at 1%, and then it goes to 2%. Once the government gets their fingers in your pocket, buddy, it'll never stop. Trust me.
All right. Okay, Gary, thank you. In Southern Ontario, opposed to the wealth tax as it's proposed by Canadians for Tax Fairness. Again, 1% on the first 10 million, 2% on your 50 million. And if you, congratulations. I mean, if you have a wealth of $100 million, take 3% of that, please. Thank you very much. Every year, 3 million. Cool, 3 million. Make life better for the rest of us. That's the idea that's out there being promoted this week. What do you think about it? This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Renovating 24 Sussex, popular topic for us, along with the wealth tax. The BC condo bailout is interesting. I hope you're following that story. It's not the end of that story. Keep an eye on that one. Keith in Nova Scotia. Hello, Keith. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Rob. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm very good, Keith. What do you want to talk about, Keith?
I want to try to touch on those three topics real quickly.
All right.
The first one, the wealth tax. I think maybe I heard some pretty good opinions on that today, by the way, a lot of people calling in. I think that would be somebody that has that kind of money probably has figured out a way to put it somewhere where it's going to be safe. So I think that's not going to make a lot of difference to some people. The second thing was the 24 Sussex Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you say that Carney's going to make an announcement about that?
In the coming weeks. Yeah, that was in the news today.
Okay, so I'm not going to comment on that because I'm not sure what's going to happen there. They're probably going to do what they're going to do. The last one about
but what do you think they should do? If I could, just before you move along. The last time there was a price tag attached to it to fix it up was 5 years ago, and it was $36 million. Should we fix it up if it costs that much money? Because it probably costs more now.
I don't know. Maybe. maybe they could turn into some sort of a housing development to give people a chance, a place to live. It's not going to cost a lot of money. And like affordable housing, that's just a term that's thrown out there. Affordable housing, it's $2,400 a month for a one bedroom. How many normal people can afford that? So if you drop that down $1,000 and made it maybe $1,200 a month, maybe you get some people moving in there. The other thing was the museum thing the lady brought up. It's something like that, the tourist attraction, make some money off it. Now, the last thing was the British Columbia condo money.
Yeah.
That the government's planning on spending, what'd you say, $1 billion?
Well, if they, let's say they buy 2,000 condos for $500,000 each, and they're in Vancouver, that's not extraordinary. That's not, the condos are probably selling for more than that in Vancouver. That's $1 billion. It'll cost $1 billion.
Okay, my question is just simple. Where does that money come from? Who pays all that money? Is that taxpayers right across Canada? They're going to be paying for that?
It'd be taxpayers right across Canada, yeah.
Okay, well, I don't agree with that. I mean, I don't know why I should pay my income tax for my money to go out to BC to help some developers who I've never met, don't know. So I would just.
But what if
I don't agree with that.
We were turning it around because you just talked about the need for more affordable housing? The government is saying, here's 2,000 units of affordable housing. Don't you want to help those people in Vancouver if it means some people in Vancouver get a roof over their head?
Yeah, that would be nice. Affordable housing, like I said before, what's affordable? Not what's affordable for you may not be affordable for me. So somewhere you have to draw a line on what's affordable. Like, is it going to be $2,400 a month for a single bedroom, or is it going to be $1,200 a month? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you've done well commenting on all three of those and closing out our first hour of Talkback. We'll bring you right up to date on all the latest breaking news, and then right back into an hour more of your phone calls here on News Radio.
It's time to talk back
on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
and have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Talkback. We've been kicking around 3 things, all related to 3 stories that have been in the news lately. For example, in British Columbia, the government is going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. This is the federal government and the BC government, hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe more than $1 billion, to buy about 2,000 condos that are sitting empty. Nobody wants to buy them. They're going to turn them, they say, into affordable housing units, but this is being called a bailout. It's a bailout for property developers who can't move the merchandise. The government says, no, it's not. It's a chance to provide more affordable housing units. We want to know what you think. Meantime, you have a group that calls itself Canadians for Tax Fairness, and it is once again sending out the clarion call for a wealth tax. So with a wealth, and it's a wealth tax, it's not a tax on income, but rather somebody's entire wealth. If they have an investment portfolio or real estate or an art collection, take their wealth. If they're worth $10 million, pay a 1% tax. Hit $50 million. If your wealth is $50 million, pay a 2% tax. If the wealth hits $100 million, it says there are 3,800 families in Canada with a wealth of at least $100 million. You hit them with a 3% tax, and the government takes the money, improves social services, makes life better for millions of Canadians. What do you think? Do you support a wealth tax? And 24 Sussex Drive, a report in the news today. Prime Minister Carney is going to make some kind of announcement in a few weeks about plans for what used to be the official residence of the Prime Minister of Canada, 24 Sussex. It's been sitting empty for more than a decade. But the last estimate to fix up the place was more than $36 million. $36 million. Should taxpayers renovate 24 Sussex Drive? What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. George is in Fenn, Alberta. Hello, George.
How are you today, sir?
Yeah, very good, George. How are you?
Not too awful bad. Well, on all 3 of them, first things first, 24 Sussex Drive. It is the official residence of the Prime Minister of I'm in a soon-to-be different country, but that's another day. Would the Americans allow the White House to be run down like this? No. The British 10 Downing Street? No. Just fix the damn thing and be done with it.
No matter the cost, George. No matter the cost, George. You
no
don't
matter
care
the
what
cost.
it costs.
How much money has this liberal government blown in Ukraine and other ridiculous stuff that just disappears? No, fix it. Be done with it.
Fix it and be done with it. All right.
Now, yeah, because it's an embarrassment. I mean, like I said, would the Americans allow this to the White House? No. And now,
I would have said that up until they had a UFC fight on the front lawn of the White House. But okay,
that's their business, not ours.
Okay, all right. What else?
Okay. And now the housing developments. Well, it's all liberal-friendly housing guys that are going to lose their rear end. So their buddy Mark Carney and Gregory Roberts tell them out.
Oh, George. It has been in the news. Sam Cooper has been reporting, Sam Cooper of the Bureau has been reporting that some of those involved, the owners of some of these buildings, have been liberal donors.
Have what?
I think we lost
they've
George.
Been liberal donors, yeah.
They've been liberal. Yeah, they've been liberal donors in the past. Some of them have been liberal donors in the past. Yeah, I think we're going to have to move along from George. George is not in a good cell phone area. He doesn't have any bars on the phone. He needs more bars. Khalid, let's try Khalid. He's in Calgary. Maybe he's got a few more bars on the phone. Hello, Khalid.
Hi, Rob.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good afternoon.
Good.
I think I'm going to talk about this wealth tax.
Wealth tax, yes.
I think that we are not looking in the right place, you know.
Okay. Where should we be looking?
I would say like in Holland, when you buy a house, the bank or the lender will ask you, where do you want to invest the principal? Because that is people's money. Imagine if we have that in Canada here, and when we start constructing the mortgage, every single Canadian who has a house would be a millionaire just from but what's happening, the banks and the lenders are taking advantage that money, the principal money, sitting and being working for them. So the security.
So how does this tie into the wealth tax? How does this tie into the need for a wealth tax, which is at issue today?
I mean, not the wealthy Canadian should be taxed. I believe the lenders and the banks that should give a share to the Canadian from their money that working for those banks and like those wealthy people in Canada, they are investors, they are business owners, and the banks and lenders, they give them just a little bit of what they're making from the rest of Canadians' money.
You think we should be taxing, if we're going to tax somebody more, should tax the banks more? Let the banks share more of the wealth?
We should look into the laws that for example the mortgages, okay, and the tax. We have to look into it in a bigger way. That like now the business owners and the self-employed, they get taxed on the net, whereas the employees and the labor who are the majority, they get taxed on the gross. So
Okay.
we want to look.
All right, Khalid, I'm still unclear about what exactly, your alternative would be outside of a wealth tax, other than you think something should change with the way banks are dealing with mortgages, but I'm still unclear about what you mean, and we do have to move along. 1-833-668-2577, though, is our call-in line for hour number 2 of Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Wealth taxes, condo bailouts, renovating 24 Sussex, all in the mix for us today. 3 things. Fred is in Waterloo. Hello, Fred.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, hi, Fred. What do you want to talk about, Fred?
The first one is the tax. We live in a country where it's supposedly free, but, free enterprise, these people have earned their money. As others have said, I'm, listening to your program and agreeing with 80% of them. The thing is, some people don't realize that the wealthy, the money that they give sometimes to their communities and that, they start taxing them. They're going to take that away. There's going to be a lot of other people suffering, in another way than what these people do. I'm just all for it. We work too hard for our money. As somebody said, everybody's got the opportunity to do that. But we're getting, as one of your callers called, lazy in this country. And to give away stuff that free, because again, the government doesn't know what to do with that money that they're going to collect. That's really all I have to say.
So you think on the wealth tax, it could it would act as a counter to maybe the incentive to take risks, be entrepreneurial, be
I
successful.
believe so.
Yeah.
And, I don't have a lot of money around this area with
Right.
Las Ritas and all that. And remember, the money that these people have put into our community, into the society, are they going to stop doing that?
Right, like contributions to whatever charities, United Way campaigns, hospital fundraising, those sorts of things. Yeah, I
Correct.
understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So, I don't believe the tax should be there.
Don't think it should be there. Fair enough. Fred, thank you for having your say to Sylvan Lake. Wade is in Sylvan Lake. Hello, Wade.
I don't think it should be there.
Wade.
Hey, Rob.
Hello, Wade. Hey, Wade.
How are you?
Very good, Wade. Got a thunderstorm rolling through here, actually, but other than that, we're okay.
I'm distracted driving, and there's a big black cloud coming here, too. So anyway, if I was to support any wealth tax in this country at all, it would be a 5% Brookfield tax and a 10% Carney tax. And that's it.
Okay.
That's all we need.
Right.
Billions of dollars would come. But, I started with nothing. I had absolutely nothing when I started out in life. I had my welding helmet and a 1966 Meteor. 50 years later, I don't consider myself wealthy, but I think I'm doing okay. And all they're going to do is they're going to take that wealth tax idea and they're going to start changing the definition of wealth. And I don't think that that's fair. As far as the condos thing in Vancouver there,
BC,
absolutely. Yeah. In BC, they should absolutely let those guys take a loss selling their things. They made the choice. But I also understand, I heard, I don't know, it could be conspiracy theory, that a lot of that money is backed up by the Chinese Communist Party. So you know how cozy Carney's getting with the Chinese. So there's a good chance it's going to happen regardless of what anybody thinks.
Well, I think there's been, I'm not too sure if that's the case here, but we know that money from China certainly flowed into Vancouver and into the Vancouver housing market. I mean, that's no secret. That's not a mystery to anyone.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just think that those developers should take their loss, like any other business.
Now, as someone, I must ask you, as someone who is out there on the hustings day after day advocating for an independent Alberta, what do you think about fixing up 24 Sussex?
Well, once again, right, you've got a bunch of people giving quotes, and they know they're quoting to the government, so they double it. right? If it was a private person with that residence, I'm sure they could get it done a lot cheaper. So go ahead, fix it up on taxpayers' dollars, but then force the Prime Minister to live there.
Okay. Well, if it's a $36 million house, and again, that's a 5-year-old estimate to fix up 24 Sussex to bring it up to modern day standards.
Yeah.
I would very much hope that the Prime Minister would want to live there.
Yeah.
Thank you
hey, Rob,
for your
do me
call.
a favor. Okay. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later, bud. Both hands on the wheel, Wade. Bye-bye. 1-833-668-2577. It's Talkback, hour number 2. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Condo bailouts in BC, renovating 24 Sussex in Ottawa. A wealth tax on wealthy Canadians. Chris in Halifax, have your say on Talkback. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Rob.
Hi, Chris.
The wealth tax. Now, are you referring to a wealth tax or more an inheritance tax?
Wealth tax. It's a wealth tax.
A wealth tax. So, how would that be calculated? Would your home be included in that as being wealth?
Yes.
Okay, the equity in your home.
The way they describe it is, these are your liabilities, these are your assets. Whatever the balance is, if it's $10 million, you pay a 1% tax on your wealth. If it's $50 million, you pay 2%, and if it's $100 million or more, it's 3%.
And do you only pay that
year after? No, you pay.
Do you only pay that once or every? Well, how the heck is anybody going to get the money for that? Because most people's assets are not liquid. They're tied up. They may be tied up in the stock market. They may be tied up in real estate, whatever the case might be, but they're tied up. Very few people. There's very few millionaires that have $1 million in cash sitting around. So how would that person or those people be able to pay that $100,000, that $1 million, that whatever it might be in wealth tax every single year? How would they do it?
That's
how
a very
would you
good
do
question.
it, Rob?
Well, you would have to, as one of the previous callers would said, you would have to try and sell an asset to pay the tax for some people.
But that defeats the purpose of owning the asset, doesn't it? If you can't maximize your profit in the end. Canada, historically, the provinces implemented succession duties from the late 1800s right up till 1941. And in 1941, Canada, as a federal government, they took over inheritance taxes. They found it not so great. So in 1972, inheritance taxes were abolished in favor of capital gains tax because they didn't have to wait for you to die. They got it whenever you disposed of an asset that you made a capital gain on. They got the money now. They didn't have to wait. That was the whole premise of that. Now, if your home is going to be included either as a capital gain item or an inheritance tax or a wealth tax, however you want to call it, there should be a different way of calculating it. You should, as a homeowner, for example, be able to add to the cost of your home what you actually paid for it, which is mortgage payments for a 20 to 30-year period bearing interest, which could increase the price of your home easily by 50% more than the purchase price. Also, year by year, you should be able to deduct the expenses to run your home, mortgage payment, heat, lights, insurance, property taxes, maintenance, etc. Because if you have any other kind of an investment, like, for example, real estate, suppose you have a little 4-unit apartment building, Rob. You say, it's going to be good for my retirement. As you operate that year to year, you're allowed to deduct from the tax the expenses to buy, purchase, maintain, and pay for and keep that particular rental property, right? You get taxed on the net, not on the gross. The home should be exempt no matter what. Should not be subject to any kind of a tax whatsoever. Inheritance taxes broke up a lot of estates because people had to, in some cases, go out on a fire sale basis and sell assets in order to get the money to pay the government. We have probate taxes here in Nova Scotia, and I assume every province in Canada has probate taxes. I think it's 5% here in Nova Scotia, or 5% on the first million or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But no, this wealth tax and the inheritance tax, they're getting their capital gains, which at the time of your death, you were deemed to have disposed of that asset the day before you died. So they're going to get and a lot of people inherit with their inheritance from parents or grandparents or whomever, a lot of it's not cash. A lot of it is various investments, either stock market investments or real estate and that sort of thing.
Real estate.
Homes, homes and stuff.
Yeah.
Because the average the average person's home is where they have most of their equity and asset value, right?
Yes, I'm just nodding my head in agreement at everything you're saying, Chris. Thank you so much. It's great perspective that you offer. Very insightful. And we're back with more of your calls. 4 or 5 lines available right now for Talkback at 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. And have your say on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
And if you are just joining us, we've been kicking around 3 things. Been in the news over the last few days. This story out of BC, the government's going to spend, I wouldn't be surprised if it's $1 billion to buy about 2,000 empty condos in BC, where the condo market is really soft. The government says it's going to turn those into affordable housing units, but critics are saying this is a bailout. This is a bailout for risk takers, for investors and speculators in the real estate market who built too many condos that people don't want to buy. And they're being bailed out. Government would counter that and say, we want to build more affordable housing. Here's 2,000 units. We're going to buy them. We'll make them affordable for people. What do you think? Then you have this group called Canadians for Tax Fairness. It is, again, making the case for a wealth tax that would start on Canadians with a wealth, not income, wealth, assets, okay, $10 million, then $50 million a higher tax, $100 million a higher tax, and so on. The group claims if provinces did this, they would raise probably in excess of $30 billion a year, and that is money that would be spent to better the life of every one of us, better education, better healthcare, more affordable housing, childcare. The list would be endless, right? But do you support it? Not a lot of takers on that one in support of a wealth tax. And 24 Sussex Drive in Ottawa. This story has been in the news for years, of course. It's been empty for more than a decade. It's been gutted. And questions are being raised again. What are we going to do with 24 Sussex? The last time an estimate was put on the cost of renovating 24 Sussex, it was about $36 million. $36 million. Imagine the house you could have for $36 million. Should taxpayers renovate 24 Sussex? Some people say yes, of course. It's a symbol. It's it's an important symbol for Canada. It's the official residence of the Prime Minister of Canada, and it's worth preserving. I'd like to know where he's sit on these issues here. Let's go to Eric. He's in Halifax today. Hello, Eric.
Hey, Rob. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very good, Eric. Thank you.
Well, as far as those condos and that goes, if it's going to be affordable, I'd say go for it because I'm for affordability. I mean, you know, we can afford some rent or some condos, but if they make it affordable, I'm all for that one. As far as the Prime Minister's residence, well, if he's not going to live in it, and future Prime Ministers are not going to live with it, tear it down and build something that all people could enjoy. And last but not least, yeah, tax those suckers to debt, man, because I'll tell you, they don't get to see how we live every day because we're being taxed to debt in Canada, and you know it, and I know it, and Curtis knows it, and everybody else knows it. So let's see the rich and famous get a little bit higher taxes, and then let's see what they think about, about paying higher rent, higher taxes.
So tax the rich, soak the rich, eat the rich, you're saying?
Oh, for sure, man. I mean,
for sure. You really?
Yeah, because I tell you, we're being taxed to debt. You know it, and I know it. Let's see how they feel about it being taxed to debt, and let's see what they talk about or how much crying they will do.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Always good to take your call. Love the opinions. We do have some lines available there. 1-833-668-2577. You hear it there. Soak the rich, tax the rich, tax the billionaires. This proposal is not just billionaires. It's people with a net worth of $10 million. But it's just a little bit. It's just 1%. Okay, they're good for it. Right? They're good for it. They probably won't even miss it because they're rich. And the selling point is, the pitch is, think of how much better life could be for everyone else if we only tax the rich a little bit more. Again, where do you come down on this? Okay. I mean, take the billionaires, for example, a 3% tax on the net worth of billionaires. You know the names of the billionaires, right? The Thompsons, the Westons, the Irvings, the Sobeys, that Shopify guy, Jim Pattison out in BC, the Bronfmans in Montreal, the Saputos, the cheese people in Quebec. They're all billionaires. Well, this group is saying Canadians for tax fairness, they should all be paying more. They should all pay a special wealth tax of 3% because they're worth more than $100 million. That's one thing. But it also says wealth tax should start at 1% for anyone with a wealth of $10 million. Again, wealth, not income, wealth, real estate, a stake in a business, an investment portfolio. $10 million, pay a wealth tax every year of 1%. Hit $50 million, 2%. $100 million, 3%. Government, this is the spin. The government takes the money, spends it on the things that would do so much good for millions of Canadians. Think of the money that we could put into healthcare, or the money that would go to building new schools, or increasing social welfare payments for low-income people, disability payments, income supports like the guaranteed income supplement for low-income seniors, or programs for veterans, mental health care, more affordable house. I mean, as I say, the list could be endless. And think of how all of those things could be improved if only the government forced the rich to pay a little bit more. What do you think of that idea? Take a little bit more from the rich. Life will be so much better for everyone else. Are you on board with that? The report says if provinces started doing this at the provincial level, just tax the rich just a little bit more, you could raise $19 billion a year in Ontario. Ontario has the most rich people. $3 billion a year for the province of Alberta. Across Atlantic Canada, $800 million a year. Imagine the good it could do. Imagine, they say. How do you imagine it? 1-833-668-2577. Tax the rich. And two other things that we're kicking around today. Renovating 24 Sussex. The condo bailout in BC. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
On wealth taxes, on renovating 24 Sussex, on bailing out condo developers in Vancouver. Let's get into it. George has called back from Fenn. He's got a better cell phone
Sorry
this
about
time.
that.
Oh, that's okay. You got all your bars. Okay, George. Go ahead, George.
I'd like to complain about the service with TELUS, but there is none, so.
Okay. Complain away. Go ahead.
There is no revenue problem in Canada or any province. There is a spending problem. And the more money you give these guys, the more they spend. And, and that's just the way it is. There's this, you can cut billions upon billions upon billions of dollars and make things so the economy is booming, and we will have taxes. Lower taxes would increase, make more money for the government because more people will be working. We could be the richest country in the world, but we're not. And so they want to keep taxing and taxing and taxing. When you do that, you just drive business away, you drive people away, you drive the country away.
Right. So you're not in favor of the wealth taxes. Come on, George. They're wealthy. They probably won't even miss it.
Well, first off, they've already paid taxes on this once. Now, why should they have to pay taxes again? I mean, that's just the way it is. You pay taxes once, and all of a sudden, this guy works his rear end off. He does well, makes good investments and stuff like that. Let's tax him. Now, there's a bunch of farmers out here where I live and ranchers who got their land a long time ago when it was worth 40,000 a quarter. And now the land is worth $500,000 a quarter. So the government's going to look at this guy, and he said, "Oh my God, he's got this." Now, I don't have that much land. I got enough, but not like these guys. So these guys got $20 million worth of land.
Sure.
And they've been paying on it forever, but they don't have $20 million. They don't have the money to pay.
They don't have. It's not like it's not like they can go to the bank and take $20 million out, right? Is what you're saying. I mean, what's it even like? Say an even modest dairy farm. I mean, what is it wouldn't take long to hit $10 million with an operation like that, for example.
Well, I don't know nothing about dairy farms because they keep them mostly in Ontario and Quebec where the Liberal voters are. So we only have a few out here in Alberta. We have enough, but not a few. But I do know a quota for a cow is like something like $250,000 per head per quota.
Bucks.
It is. Don't quote me on the exact price, but it's lots.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah, for sure. I understand what you're saying, George. Thank you for your call. I'm glad we could connect. There's lots of criticisms against wealth taxes. One of them is that they never raise as much as these groups, Canadians for Tax Fairness, claim. Sometimes the money from a new wealth tax it'll barely cover the administration for the tax in the first place. And, this has been raised by a few callers already as well. What are these people going to do? Okay, there's going to be a wealth tax in Ontario or whatever the case might be. They'll move to some place where there aren't wealth taxes. We see this happening in the United States right now, where there's lots and lots of very wealthy people, tech moguls and the like. They're packing up and leaving Silicon Valley. Yeah, they're moving more and more of their business operations outside of California. They're moving to Florida. They're moving to Texas, where these sorts of wealth taxes don't exist. There's a big fight happening in New York City right now over the same thing. The big-time Wall Street types, they're threatening to leave New York and take their investment firms with them because New York has a new socialist mayor who wants wealth taxes. So some people are threatening to leave and move their firms to other states where these taxes don't exist. Now, this group says, that's just overblown by the news media. It says in its report, the recent implementation of an annual income tax on an annual income over $1 million in Massachusetts raised significantly more revenue than projected, in part because the expected capital flight was overestimated. Good policy design can make millionaire flight less appealing. Recent research commissioned by the European Union finds wealth taxes that cover all asset classes and include exit taxes can effectively protect the tax base. Exit taxes, that's another thing that these groups, Canadians for Tax Fairness, they advocate for these sorts of things, not just wealth taxes, but if someone wants to leave the jurisdiction because the government puts in a wealth tax, then that person who is moving, then they should have to pay an exit tax. Oh, you think you're going to get out of here without paying your fair share? You greedy capitalist? No way. We're going to slap an exit tax on your way out the door. But Canadians for Tax Fairness says we need to start collecting these taxes. There's a concentration of wealth in this country, it says, and with a concentration of wealth comes a concentration of power. And that wealth concentrated in the hands of a few is a danger to our democracy, and it is threatening our social cohesion. So as Eric in Halifax said, tax the suckers. 1-833-668-2577. This is News Radio. 24 Sussex Drive has become kind of one of the evergreen stories of Ottawa, what to do with 24 Sussex. And there is a news report today. Prime Minister Carney wants to do something with us. He's just not ready to say just yet. Apparently, in a few weeks from now, he'll tell us his plans for 24 Sussex. I have been there to 24 Sussex. I've been there 3 different times, all during the Harper years. I got invited during the Harper years, never during the Liberal years. The Harper government used to have spring garden parties for the news media every now and then. I scored an invite to a couple of those. And I was there one time during the Harper years, just before Christmas one year, maybe about 15 years ago. And that's when Stephen Harper and his family all lived at 24 Sussex. If you've never been there, I will say this, in my own opinion, you're not missing much. It has a nice view of the Ottawa River, world-class view, no doubt about that. It's on a prime piece of property in a very Tony part of town. But the house itself, kind of a dump. Window air conditioners, like in every window air conditioners. Very dark and dated interiors. And the one thing I really remember about the place in my brief time being there is it reeked of chlorine. It reeked of chlorine from the swimming pool building that was installed for Pierre Trudeau. This, by the way, is the anniversary today, June 25th, of Trudeau Mania, the 1968 election that happened June 25th. And years later, the swimming pool was installed at 24 Sussex by Pierre Trudeau. It was very controversial because the money came from Liberal donors. But gosh, the smell from that pool. You could smell the chlorine all through the house. So this place, look, it's been empty more than a decade now. It's been gutted, as I say, right down to the studs. But there's still no official plan about what to do with it. And the last time the government came up with even an estimate, it was $36 million. And that's an estimate that is now 5 years old. And everyone knows what has happened to the cost of renovations in the last 5 years. They've only gone up. So $36 million in 2021 dollars. Who knows what it is now for one house? A nice stone mansion, yes, but still a lot of money for one house. Well, some people will say, well, it's not just one house. It's the official residence of the Prime Minister. We should really fix it up. We've heard this already today. The Americans would never let the White House fall into such a sad state of disrepair. Or 10 Downing Street in London. It's an important building. It's an important symbol for Canada. What does it say about Canada if the Prime Minister's residence is seen to be in such a state of disrepair? We should fix it up. Get on with the job, as George said. I don't care what it costs. I don't really share that view, but not too many people like my idea either. I think the place should be torn down myself. And I think the Prime Minister's summer residence should become the official residence. That's called Harrington Lake, which is on the Quebec side of the National Capital Region in the beautiful Gatineau Hills. It is a lovely lakeside retreat. It is super secure. It's like a fortress. And during the Justin Trudeau years, the government spared no expense in fixing up the place. Something like $11 million in the last few years to fix up the Harrington Lake residence. I've never been there. I know people who have been there. I've talked to them about it. I've asked them about it. And they say it's amazing. And it's only 20 minutes from Parliament Hill if you have an RCMP escort like the Prime Minister does. But that's my idea. But nobody likes my idea. Tomorrow is the Friday free-for-all Talkback. We'd love to hear from you then. And you can take the lead. We'll be wide open on topics tomorrow. It's very busy in the news today. We're going to bring you right up to date. Right now and always here on News Radio.